Hey everybody, we're going live with Alexander Mazzone. We're going to see him come in here shortly, right? We have like so many things going on in the world, and I just, I'm really excited to have you here because I know there's a lot of energy that people are feeling, with all these shifts and challenges that are coming up in the natural landscape. But I just want to welcome everybody to Awaken Angels. This is Stephanie Lodge, my guest Alexander Mazzone, and I'm so excited to have him here. And what we're going to be doing is talking a little bit about what you do as what I call an angelic crystal architect, right? This is kind of like the idea that came up,
you make
I think,
me
last week when we spoke. I know, so fancy. And I want to tell everybody also, if you have questions anytime during the broadcast, you're welcome to comment down below. I'll be monitoring that here. And we're going to do a Q&A Angels portion at the end, which will be officially answering those questions and coming in. So if you want to just say hi, that's cool, that's awesome, and we'll do our best to respond to your questions as they come in. So I want to share what Awaken Angels is, and I think I shared this with you, Alex, is that we're giving people the empowerment by sharing our own personal journey of awakening, right? We're allowing people to really understand that there is no one right way to do this or one path of awakening. There's a lot of different ways that this happens for people, but I think as more and more people are understanding how consciousness is rising on the planet, right, and we're all being challenged to elevate in that way, there's a lot of symptoms to that. There's a lot of things that come up for us energetically and emotionally, physically. And I wanted to just share your personal journey a little bit as far as how did you come into what you do now, and working with angels and among other, what I call the ultra celestials, right?
Yep.
But how did you come into that? How did that start for you?
Well, I guess the pinpoint where I could go back to, obviously my path started before this moment, but I walked into a medium's shop to get a reading because, other friends and family members have gone to see this young lady, and they had such good results, and she kind of awakened them in certain ways, like to, them learning that they don't really know how things work. So when I went in, she said right away, one of the first things she said, because I recorded the session, was she told me that I walked in with a man that wore many different hats. So basically she saw my spirit guide before I knew my spirit guide was even there. So, there's a certain level of patience where some of these guides and angels and these beings are actually following us around like, can they hear me yet? But over the course of the history of working with this guide, after a while, I had to kind of let him go, but it was a matter of time before I asked him. I was using a pendulum at the time. My third eye wasn't fully on. So, partly due to, certain fears that we have. Some of us don't really want to see all at once. So while I was, using my pendulum to ask questions, one day I said, how do you always know what to tell me? Because I had a high level of accuracy from what he was telling me to do. So, all right, can you still hear me? It pauses every time somebody's sending a message. I asked him, how do you have such accuracy? How do you know? And that was how I started to learn about the dimensions. He basically told me that he was in 4, so he was very easily communicating between 4 down to 3 where I was at the time, and telling me, go left, go right, don't do this, take this job, leave this job, things like that.
No, wait a minute. So pause there. So were you aware? So you were fully aware, or was this happening before you were aware, and you were just getting kind of like inspiration or hits that would come in, and you didn't know where they were coming from, or would it just be you thought you were thinking this, or how did that work?
Oh, okay.
Because remember,
This was over the course of about a year and a half. So this woman told me I came in with this being, and about probably like 6 to 8 months later, I read this book called Opening the Channel. The book Opening the Channel said that when you would basically step through this gateway, this doorway, you would ask a high-level master to step forward. You're not supposed to just take the first being on that comes forward. You're supposed to sleep on it. You're supposed to basically interview this being that you call forward. You ask a high-level master to step forward. I stepped through the door, bam, there's the guy in the hat. So he's been waiting. He was like, I'm your dude. He tells me his name. he tells me specifically his name. He says, Sam, he said, call me Sam. My name is Samuel Ward King. When I came out of my meditation, I was like, okay, I'll give this guy a chance, yada, yada, yada. I go onto Google. Swear to God, true story. I type in SAMU. By the time I typed the U, Google Analytics was suggesting Samuel Ward King in Rhode Island, the state that I was standing in while I typed this into the computer. Did that ever happen again? No. Was I baffled that it wasn't asking me about Samuel L. Jackson or Samuel Adams Beer or something that's definitely more prevalent? Yeah, I was kind of befuddled by this. So the second I see this, I was like, this is clearly my spirit guide. There's been some sort of intervention for this being to come in and do this. So I go from having this being come through to time goes by, another few months goes by. I'm using the pendulum, which is how I learned how to get in touch with him, not having a turned on third eye, to basically ask him, how do you get your intel? Like, how do you know what to tell me? You know, because it's like, you know, it's like all of a sudden I have this friend that's with me all day, every day. So I'm very interested to see, how do you know this? How's this? How's that? So he basically tells me, which is how, like I was saying earlier, how I started to learn more about the dimensions, that he was asking his Pleiadian aspect, his angelic aspect. So he wasn't even really giving me the answers. He was basically in 4, looking up to his 70 and saying.
So he was like an intermediary.
Yes.
So what you're saying is that there's different beings in different levels of dimension or density, I call it, that are here to assist us to awaken.
Exactly.
But let's back up for a second, because you kind of skipped a part.
I know, I'm skipping parts. I'm skipping parts.
It's okay, it's okay, no judgment. I guess what I'm saying is, how connected how connected were you before that even happened? Like, what was your first idea of sensitivity? I mean, did you come in with gifts as a little kid? Did something happen to you as a young person, or when did this really go back a little bit further? When did this start for you?
Pretty much my entire lifetime.
Okay.
You know, when I was really young, I would see spirits. I would have, you know, certain things with prankster spirits when I was home alone. You know, things were different when I was younger, so I remember being like completely alone in the house, 6 or 7 years old, which doesn't even really make sense by the age of my older sisters. Like, where was my next older sister? Like, she was 11. Like, how was I home? It was almost like, obviously, spirit or the universe or mom and dad, there must have been some sort of plan to be like, oh, let's have him, you know, grow into whatever this is. So I'm home alone, completely alone, which would happen pretty often, like I said, oddly enough. And especially at that age, because now we have like 14-year-olds in car seats. So I don't know. Everyone gets a trophy. So when I was a child, I had my marble bag. I had all these marbles in the marble bag, and I remember I was in bed and I'm sitting there. I got the sheets up and I'm all scared. I could feel the spirits around me. You know, I could see them. If there was a really long, dark hallway, I could see them down the ends of the hallway. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear, like, I hear all the marbles pouring out of the bag, like somebody opened it and went like this over the kitchen tile. I hear like, you can't mistake this sound.
Right.
All these marbles falling and rolling everywhere, hitting. I can hear them rolling and hitting all the things and tapping and roll. So I'm like, yo, F that, I ain't going downstairs. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Mom and Dad are going to come in the house, pitch black houses, marbles all over the ground. So I was like, I have to go downstairs to pick up all the marbles before it's like some like Home Alone situation when they come home. So I go downstairs, and right in the middle of the hallway, there's one marble sitting there, and it's a blue marble that has the earth painted on it. The rest of the marbles are still in the bag on the table, drawstring tight. This was the biggest marble in the bag. It was about that big, okay? How could that get out of a drawstring bag, put right in the middle of the floor, where I had to walk by to go upstairs in the first place? Like, there was like impossible things that went down here. So I'm like, now I'm just like, what is going on? Now the earth marble's here. The bag's over here, mind blown. I go back upstairs and just, you know, go to bed go on with life.
And there was no other marbles, just the one marble. So all that sound you were hearing.
There's no way that all
obviously
that sound could have been this one
Right.
marble. No way.
Right.
So after seeing this, or after living through this, you know, obviously no one really believed me, but there was always like little things as I was growing up. I'd hear like a baby say something, or, you know, this person would say this, or this would happen. Dream state became a very real thing for me. That's a whole story in itself. But I started using a dream state analysis book to basically predict the future for what was going to happen for me in the future, for everybody. I mean, somebody, my friend Dave here, saying, I remember your marble collection. I remember many times him calling me and asking me, look up this dream, and, you know, saving him from situations which wouldn't have been the end of the world, but making life easier for my friends and family all around me with this dream book.
Right. Right. So you had a lot of supernatural things happening. You had different occurrences of clairaudience, it sounds like, first. When did the clairvoyance come in? When did your third eye, like, because I know that's something you and I have talked about, where your third eye is pretty open. You know, when did that really start to open up and you started to see into different realities, or dimensions, or densities, or whatever we want to call them?
By focusing on my body. I basically, over the course of time, from being, I was a personal trainer at the time, really started, like, you know, finding the formula. This is how many carbs you should have a day, how many grams of fat, polyfats, monofats, saturated fats, how much water to the milliliter, you know. So I had formulas based upon my body weight. So as my body weight would change, I would change the amount of the formulas for carbs based upon my fitness goals at that moment, at that present moment. So one of the things that I would do was I would fill up a BPA-free water bottle with fluoride-free water, which I didn't know I was doing. When I, you know, started to say, okay, I need exactly, all right, a gallon plus a pint every day. I used this BPA-free water bottle. I counted the pint as whatever protein shake I'd have, but I'd make sure I would drink that gallon of water. So, I mean, if you're going to fill up water and you have a well in your garage, we had well water and just one sink at the whole house. Obviously, I'm going to go to the best tasting water. I mean, you know, how lazy could you be, you know? So, I'd go down, fill up the water. I didn't even know what I was doing. I actually have these deposits behind the ear right here. There's one on this side that gets bigger when I'm drinking water that has fluoride in it, because my body detoxes it instantly. But basically, what's going on here is I was detoxing my body and decalcifying my pineal gland as a whole. And all of a sudden, I had a dot in the middle of my third eye. So I used, you know, this dot as an excuse to go to the eye doctor, like, hey, what the heck's going on here? He knew what was going on. I could tell by the look on his face, you know. I could read his eyes. I could read his facial expression and know, oh, God, there's another one. Like, he had that, like, kind of like his eyes were open wide. And I was like, why? Same thing happened with these fluoride deposits when I went to the skin doctor. I kept seeing this, like, the doctor be like, oh, here. So, this is so odd and so rude. I actually had to go open the front door. Are you going to kill me?
All right, go open the front door.
I'll be right back.
That's okay. But such is Alex's life. Nothing boring. Meanwhile, I got a post here saying that you guys are having a hard time finding the feed. So I want to make sure, if you go to Awaken Angels, the page, you should see us there. You should also find us on Stephanie Lodge, not Stephanie Ann Lodge, but Stephanie Lodge, which is my personal page. You can like the page, and I think you can find us there. So yeah, I'm kind of curious as to if, hey, Alex, I'm just answering. I got a post from one of our followers, and they were saying they were having a problem finding us for some reason. So I'm not really sure what that's about, because I put it up on your feed to find us here. So it's kind of weird. But are you seeing people scrolling through your comment section? Or on your phone?
A little bit. Definitely, there's people that, you know, I see a lot of names that are on my friends list.
Yeah, I see people there.
Let me share it.
I'm seeing
on my wall. Share now. Share this post with everyone. There we go. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah. So I see like certain people scrolling in. So I see stuff and see comments. Hopefully some people are able to find us. But they'll find us, if you guys find us, by the way, later on the replay, and this will go up on YouTube at some point too. I just want to let you know, you can always message us your questions if you didn't get them answered or anything else. So just want to make sure everybody knows that. We'll take care of you. All right. So your third eye started opening because you were decalcifying the pineal, and that's a whole other episode of, you know, how to do that. I mean, obviously getting fluoride out of the body is huge.
Yep.
Not taking the fluoride rinse at the dentist, you know, doing what you can. I think distilled water that has nothing in it will really leach it out to some degree, if I remember correctly, but there's probably better ways to do that now even, right? I mean, if there's, I'm sure you have recommendations of how to do that, right?
You know, there's a lot of things that I don't agree with. There's a lot of things that I was doing. I was taking a supplement called Green Vibrance at the time, which was very high, like spirulina, chlorella, like you name it, it was in there.
Right.
So I was taking that. I've been thinking about getting back on that, honestly. I do miss the way it made me feel. But I was taking Green Vibrance. I was really very routine, eating and drinking the same thing every day. Because when I did that, it's like kind of like I call it like empathic eating. If I like make the slightest change and say I start putting something as, you know, awesome as kombucha in, with how routine I am, I mean, there's a brand right here. I won't say the name. I don't want to, you know, slander any company, but I started bringing in this kombucha. There's a high level of fluoride in it. I started to, you know, me and Brother Rion, we started like, you know, feeling the effects of when fluoride comes back in our body from drinking this kombucha. So
yeah, it's true. You really have to be careful of what ingredients are and everything.
And when you have the same thing, I'm not telling people to be boring and have the same thing every day, but when you do that, when you have more of a routine, you can know when something's a wrench in the machinery. You can feel it. You say, all right, I'm going to put this this almond cheese in for 3 days and see how I feel. I'm going to put this, you know, whatever, this organic meat or whatever the people are eating, whether they eat meat or they're vegan or whatever. You know, I mean, I went through this whole shift eating chicken every day. I had white chicken breast 2 times a day. I mean, people used to laugh at me. I would have chicken breast and a bowl of cereal every night at 9 o'clock. Okay, so it was such an odd meal. But you know, it was like the inner child wanted the sugar, and that was like the only sugar I had all day. And it was like kind of like I was losing my mind at that point in the day after having broccoli and sweet potatoes and white chicken and literally like choking it down, swallowing water like it was a pill.
And you were doing a lot of that also for just being, you know, into physical training and stuff. But I want to kind of explain to people that when we start to get our light body turned on more, you know, the physical will rear its ugly head, you know, for sure, more and more. I know I went through that through my awakening process where I literally would be flat on the ground because the energy system, the nervous system, I had sciatica and like inflammation that was insane, you know, just because I was pulling in so much light. So I want to move and shift a little bit because I know we're on limited time to kind of what you understand angels to be, you know, because this is Awaken Angels. So I want to move a little bit more to the spiritual side of things, if you can. I know you and I always, you know, talk about the seraphim and that frequency, and you can speak to that and what you understand of that. But what is your take on angels? Like, how do they work in our system? How are we personally earth angels, I suppose, you know, is the best mainstream term for it. And just give us a little bit of sharing on that personally for you, your experience of that.
First off, I want to say anybody watching this, anybody that feels inclined or drawn to tune into this is clearly an angel going through their awakening process. When I was talking to, just to go back to the spirit guide one more time, when I was having this excruciating pain in the middle of my back on each side of my shoulder blades, he told me I was growing wings. He told me I had to release my wings, that my wings were coming in. And, you know, I thought I was crazy. You know, I'm talking to a floating crystal, and the crystal's telling me that I have wings. So, you know, I was calling my like master level teacher at the time, and like she's like, yeah, honey, yeah. And she was all like validating it, but still. A very close friend, there's a breakfast restaurant that I would eat at every single day. I was sitting there at the bar eating breakfast by myself, how some awakened angels do. And I'm sitting there eating my breakfast at the bar. And
Mm-hmm.
someone walks in with a baby. Don't say any names.
Yeah.
And the baby's about, you know, at that very special age, like 2.5, where they can see through the veil, but they don't know that
Right.
they are.
Right.
And this was after I knew that my wings were fully grown in, wondering if I'm completely bat crazy.
Right.
He points at me and says,
Mm-hmm.
Auntie, how come that guy has wings?
Mm.
I had goosebumps. I've never felt goosebumps, truth pimples, whatever you call them, like that before.
Yeah.
They were on my eyelids, on my back, on the front. You know, normally it's like they're on the arms or on the back of your neck. My whole body was like,
Angel bumps. Mm-hmm.
I could like feel my soul like ripping out of my body from just hearing that and getting that validation. So
right.
Scott Bloom calls those truth pimples in one of his books. I love that.
Yeah.
So to hear that,
So
you
that
know,
was
I
kinda
called
your
Connie, my
first-
teacher, right away, and I was like, hey, I'm not crazy. And she's like, I know you're not crazy, honey. But it was just very, very validating to get this
Right.
validation, plain and simple. And not that I needed it, but to get it was truly amazing. So this is when I realized, all right, I just grew wings. So how does that get to a seraphim? Well, as you go through certain activations, you grow more wings, and you grow more wings. And when you get to 6 wings, you're a seraphim, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
going through the ascension symptoms, going through the activations, going through the changes on upper dimensional chakras, okay? And what I mean by that is if you look at your soul stream, if you picture like when people say higher selves, if you picture them stacked up above you, clearly those are the upper chakras. So as you activate these chakras up here, that's how you get these wings, in my opinion, that's how you get these wings to activate. So from doing certain works, you work and work, work and work and work. And as you do this work and you go through these ascension symptoms and these pains happen in your body, or they don't, hopefully they don't. Hopefully people can, you know, learn to go through these symptoms, or, you know, these little crystal kids are probably just coming in with 8 wings or something, who knows. But as we go through these ascension symptoms, that's where these wings come from. That's where, and if you picture it, you know, sometimes we picture the cartoon or the movie where the angel has 1 wing and they just kind of fly around in a circle. Okay, so I mean, if you have 2 wings, and picture a bird can fly in one direction. All right. Once you get something up to 4 wings, now we can picture a dragonfly, something that can hover. So what's going on with the seraphim is they're basically having the ability to, they have these 6 wings to, you know, it's kind of like a, oh, what's that military vehicle called? Ooh, I can't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. It's like a helicopter, but it's not. It's like a plane that can just, it's like a plane that can come up. Yeah. You know, it's funny, just to speak to that, I remember being in a massage table in a gym, a popular gym here in LA, and I had a woman working on me, and I didn't know she was a clairvoyant. And she said, you have the cutest little wings on your ankles. She's like, I've always seen your big giant wings, but these are really cute. I haven't seen these. They're like sprouting on your ankles. And I'm thinking, okay. And it was just funny coming from someone you would think is mainstream. You know, I mean, I'm just getting a massage. And then she's suddenly saying this to me, but she obviously knew that I must know, you know, and I didn't know because I was still coming into my own acknowledgement. I think it's really more of there's a disbelief. There's this dance of disbelief that we have for a period of time where I think the human comes in and it's nice to get the validation, at least for some of us, you know, if we don't have our third eye. I don't have my third eye fully on, and there's reasons for that, but my muscle, I guess, you know, where I strength train and have my gains, as you call them, is mostly in the claircognizance, right, the knowing. And what was funny is, just like you though, it was interesting getting these people who would see stuff, who would see angel beings around me, or dimensions of tunnels behind me, or my big angel afro, as I like to call it, which I think you've seen when I got my Kirlian photography, right? And it's interesting, as those things come in, we can't deny it anymore. I think that's the thing. We just get to that place like, I surrender, I give up, okay, I say yes. And I know a girlfriend of mine recently kind of said, okay, I'll give 30 days. I'm going to say yes for 30 days, you know, because like I've been telling her the longest time, and she's just like that, the reluctant angels, I call them, right? And I'm sure you have those in your life. We all do, but you know, I do think it's important for everyone listening that if people are seeing these things around you, and if people are noticing energy around you, to just start to say yes to it. Because as we say yes to these forces of love, really, that are here to support us, I think that's the most important message, is it's safe to come out of the spiritual closet, and it's safe to say yes to who you are as a spiritual being in a human form.
Yep.
But I want to, bring us to crystals. So I got my little Vogel. I want to talk about crystals really quickly.
We both have the same, with no communication, we both have the same Vogel. I forgot you had one of those.
And it's interesting, mine's this way and yours was this way. So there you go.
Silly.
It's all the balance of the communication. I want to talk, you're going to come to LA, so we're excited to have you coming out on the 28th of October. You're coming out for a special, what I call Skullabration, because Lucy the Crystal Skull is going to be here too for a Halloween experience. And it's coming right before my birthday on the 1st, which is awesome, the Celtic New Year as well. And I think it's going to be really amazing for those of you who are in LA or around LA or want to come out to LA. Tell us a little bit about the crystals and what you're going to share. I think Shungite comes into play a little bit. Obviously, I think I'm going to just show these two little energy current ones, right? These aspects, the crystal currents. I don't want to give too much away because you're going to be doing a free workshop, obviously at 1 o'clock here, October 28th at Omen Garden for anybody watching later and at home. And tell us a little bit, though, a little sneak peek of why this is important. How are crystals important for us in terms of as our energetic bodies are shifting and changing so much in these really interesting times? We like the word interesting, right? Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the importance of what these can do for us and assist us.
Excellent question. Basically to amplify our light. Now, if you look at a prism, when light goes through the prism, it turns it to a rainbow. Right? It's not a airy-fairy, we might have an aura. It's a scientific fact. There's an auric light field around our body. As subtle as that auric field may be, it is still light. So when you place a crystal on the body, you're now having those tiny little rainbows fractal through your whole auric field. It's making your auric field much, much, much more powerful. So like those bracelets that you held up, those are something else entirely. Those are actually little tiny electromagnetic fields that not even my own, invention. It was a download from spirit.
Right.
Basically them showing me how to properly align magnets so they're pulling towards each other. Once they're pulling towards each other, pulling them apart, putting a crystal in between, bringing the magnets back together in the same order that they were in to ensure that there's an electromagnetic field, which can be scientifically proven with a microtesla meter. It's pretty fascinating stuff. If you get one of these bracelets and you cut it to pieces with a pair of scissors, they come up about 450 to 600 microteslas. If you test it before you cut it to pieces, they come up 4,000 to 6,000 microteslas, depending on which crystals that I use. So, this isn't an airy-fairy playing with magnets, spiritual thing. This is a scientific fact that you can create an electromagnetic field and prove it by piezoelectricity and by amplifying electrical current, which is why when you look at clocks and certain crystal radio receivers and things like that, they say quartz on them. They're advertising that your batteries in that watch or that clock are going to last 3 to 5 times as long because they spent the extra money on quartz.
Right. And the thing is, it's interesting about that is when we tap into the crystallized structure that we are, right? I mean, we're really, there's crystal energy within us, obviously the salt in our very blood, but I know about the microtubules in our brain and the amplification of our crown chakra. And I mean, there's probably another episode we'll have to do just on crystals, of course, but I know we're going to be doing a trunk show here in LA too, so that's exciting for people who want to actually come out and get a crystal current bracelet and experience and pick one out in person. They can order it on crystalcurrent.com, of course, if they can't make it to LA. But one of the things I can say that's important about this, to just edify what you just said, is as we step more into the magnetic field generator of our heart and really get more heart-centered, amplifying our heart is huge. And when we understand we're living beings of light amplification and heart and love amplification, and these technologies, really, your crystal technologies, are here to assist us in that. In fact, I have my other one on, just to,
Nice, yeah.
This is John Ferris's angel wrapping, but you know, it's really great what you're doing, you know, and that's why I call you the angelic crystal architect, because you're taking these crystals, and they're of course beautiful to work with in their natural form and all those ways, but what makes these so unique, and what I found so unique, and why I call them living luxuries too, is each bead is really hand selected and carved and really treated by hand, right? With the metals that you attach to them, you treat them specifically with different metals, and
Yep.
there's a lot of care and design in this. So I want to really honor you for that, you know, and honor you for what you've done as this work, because it's definitely a gift for all of humanity, and especially for us awakening and in the process of awakening or awakened, and we're to awaken angels. That's why we're on the show. It's just like, hey guys, wake up, you know, it's time to like come up and out and wings out and let's go, you know, because we're needed. And I know you do a lot of work in a lot of ways, in a lot of densities, dimensions, at a lot of levels. And I just want to really honor you for the work that you're doing on this planet to assist us. And all of Team Light, of course, in Sedona, anchoring it down, and the love that you guys have for everybody. It's really awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to say before we wrap up here? Because we're at the 1:33. So there you go.
Ooh. Anything I'd like to say?
Anything we need to know? Anything Spirit has for us?
Just know that certain, not to start getting into astrology, but just know that certain planetary bodies are moving from one place to another. And to be ready to do the work. We're kind of on this last little push right now. So while we're on this last little push of this work that we have to do, no matter how difficult it seems, observe your thoughts instead of letting your thoughts rule and dictate you. When you are having a feeling, you're having a thought, take a moment, maybe sage your feet, go to the creek, sit on a rock in the middle of running water. I've told people that one before. Go to the steam room, like Brother Rion says. Take a bike ride, go running. Whatever this stuff is, just know that if it is not love and or light or the combination of the two, it is not you. So,
right.
You know, just during this time of when because we're making a lot of, like I said, astrological shifts right now. While we're doing this, just, you know, be gentle with yourself this time. Yeah, be gentle with yourself at this time, and just know that. Does that keep muting me? Does it mute on your end?
It's not like you're muted. It's more like it gets frozen a little bit for a second, but that's okay. It's just the energy's intense. That's all they're telling me the energy can get.
Yeah.
And you get two seraphims in the same room. What are you going to do? Or your same feed. It's going to happen.
I just want people to, you know, focus on their mind, body, and spirit. Get out in the gym or get out, take a bike ride, and just, you know, when these things come up, just like I said, observe them as if they are not them, because if it is not a loving vibration, it is not you. It is something else.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, of course. I just want to give everybody an opportunity. We have, you know, over 40 people in the room, so I know some of you might have a quick question or two. So just opening up Q&A Angels for a few minutes here. If anybody has a question now, I know you guys have had different feed things going by, and there's been so many, so I'm just going to say now's the time to ask your questions if you can.
Oh, I did. I saw Sister Janelle asking about fixing her bracelet, sending it to her jeweler. Send it back to me, sister, because you know, these are created with a process. Like I said, if the magnets are fighting against each other, it's not going to be able to hold. You can't have a jeweler fix this, because, you know, every time he gets to two beads, there's a 50-50 chance he's going to put one the wrong way. I mean, unless if you told him how these are created and you actually had him build the electrical current first, I find it highly improbable that he's doing this properly, he or she, this jeweler. And you want that bracelet to break. You do not want the chaos of two magnets fighting against each other. We want a flow. So whatever he's doing, some of the crystals have been lost. Maybe that bracelet is done. Maybe it's time for a repair.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
I get a lot of repairs. I've been getting repairs, honey, Stephanie. I've been getting repairs since like 2011. You know, I got repairs the other day from 2010, 2011. It's like, you know, I don't send my underwear back to Hanes to have them sew up holes in it. Sometimes you might need a new one.
I
You
would
got to
say
look at the
what
job might be done. So
yeah,
if
what I'm
crystals are
getting,
missing and
what
it keeps breaking, that it's probably
yeah,
spirits trying to tell you that the job is done. Those crystals have been absorbed into your field, and they're not
yeah.
doing anything anymore.
Yeah, it's time for an upgrade, baby doll. It just means that you need a
Yeah,
different circuit
that's
coming
what
into
I'm
the
getting.
field, you know.
But
Yeah,
if you do want it
that's what I
repaired
get.
properly, please send it back to me because I guarantee you this jeweler is not stringing magnets and electrical current and then building jewelry with it. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You want to have the right combination too. And if there's
Hmm.
one's missing, then you have to maybe look at that too. So
Yes.
that's awesome. hmm
Yeah.
Um, And I also just want to remind everybody, whoever's watching, that StephanieLodge.com is where you can find me, and Awaken Angels online at Facebook, of course, is where you can find. I know Alex posts in there, and I share some of his stuff in there, and we have stuff coming in there all the time, and we're going to be doing some of these more often. So that'll be awesome to get that community, so that if you have questions,
Hmm.
just know that that's the place to kind of say, okay, I'm here. What do I need to know? You know, and we'll do our best to respond to you, some of us, because there's a community building, a collective of people coming together that are saying, yeah, we're here. And as you put it, what is it that you say all the time, Alex, is like the powers that be versus the powers, or the powers that were, and what's that
Well,
expression?
people sometimes
I
will
always
say the
forget.
powers that be. What I've been the collective manifestation that I've been trying to create with my star family, not trying to create, have already created, is
Right,
we are the powers that be now. They are the powers that were.
right,
Okay.
right.
So,
Yeah,
but we're looking
exactly.
for more. We're not telling them they're on a different team. They can join the team. You know, where
Right.
there's like this whole like, do they have to run and go hide on Mars or in underground bunkers? No, we're very forgiving people. We're angels. Okay, we
Yeah.
just want to see people make the right decision, and we're here
hmm
with open arms. As much as they want to find that hard to believe, we're not going to have this grand lynching or whatever they're expecting. Um,
Yeah.
when the truth comes out, which the truth is here and the truth is now.
We're seeing it every day, right? I mean,
Yes.
I call it the violet earth has been birthed. You know, that fully came in on the eclipse. We got the reboot. Now we're in what I call the age of diamond light, which is
Yes.
transparency and clarity, all these things. So, guys, just know you're supported. You know, the violet light, the alchemical fire is here to support you, and whatever you've been trying to do on this planet is fully supported now. And we're going to just see a lot of stuff come up. It has to be revealed to be healed. So that's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen. Somebody mentioned something about having some episodes of vertigo. Just know that your system is recalibrating constantly right now, and it's moving through. Jupiter just went into Scorpio. There's a lot of astrological coming in. So be kind to yourself, be loving yourself, rest if you need the rest. The physical body is really being taxed a little bit more than normal right now, because we are in this age that we're shifting now into this new framework, really, you know. So that's, you know, the fires, all of this stuff. I'm just reading some of the comments here. You know, the fires, all of this is what I say is a purging. It's a cleansing of a lot of karma, but also just the planet saying enough already. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's just a little tired of some of the abuse. We'll be honest.
Yes.
So do you have anything to say to that? I know that was kind of a little stream, and then we'll go.
Um, I think, well, two things. One thing, I mean, a couple people are asking about their wings. I'd like to say yes to both of them, and everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're on here, if you're watching this now, you have gone through these changes already. You might not remember
Mm-hmm.
having those pains in your back that floated back and forth, or you might have been working out throughout it all and not really felt it as much, hopefully. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say yes to both of them. And for what you were saying, and for some people talking about the fires, the earthquakes, all this fear stuff. A lot of it is to get people into their own power. A lot of it is to also try to control people while they're at their most powerful points. So we are very, very powerful. So if we could be swayed to manifest one of these agendas, which is not, it's not going to happen, not on my timeline. So
Mm-hmm.
there are certain attempts to, you know, maybe spark fires or create certain storms or have certain things happen to see if, you know, the collective will co-create, believing that this is possible for all these things to happen at once. And I don't know if
Yeah.
people saw my video with a fellow angel, Susie Bellier. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly. But what I used was I used my phone and I actually asked Google, which any of you can do this right now. I asked for the definition of apocalypse, which said a catastrophic end of the world. And then I asked for the ancient definition of apocalypse. And it said a full disclosure or revelation of knowledge. So what apocalypse really meant when they were writing it into the Bible, or, you know, the Mayan calendar, or any of these things that, you know, people are saying, oh, well, they predicted apocalypse. Well, guess what? They predicted apocalypse in ancient times. So you're not to use the new definition. You're to use the ancient definition. So, I mean, be my guest. Go on your phone right now after this call and say, what is the ancient definition of apocalypse, Siri, or whatever your phone says, and you'll see that it's from Greek, and it means a disclosure of knowledge. So there you have it.
That's what we're in. That's what I mean by the diamond light, the age of diamond light, is that the planet now will only allow for full transparency and clarity, because we're really moving into full telepathy at some point, right? And so we're not going to be able to keep secrets from each other anyway. So nothing's going to be hidden anyway. So it's just like we're just gradually getting kind of weaned off that old paradigm and placed in this new one. But it can be interesting. And if you're having vertigo and symptoms, just to come back, because there was another question about that, just understand crown chakra, you know, as that's opening up, and it could be that you're resistant to that light wanting to come in. So just activate and ask that diamond light to come and pour in the body. I call it the multivitamin L, you know, the multivitamin light. Just really activating that diamond light through that central axis and just really allow that to come in and pulse through the body will start to help facilitate the calibration of this planet and where we're at. So anyway, that's what I got. I thank you so much, Alex. I know you got to run, and I appreciate you. We'll do this again. And everybody, thanks for joining. And again, if you have questions, put them in the comments and we will get to them. And just sending you guys all lots of love, and know that it's safe to come out, safe to fly, safe to be who you are, and awaken angels in your own neck of the woods, so to speak. So
So yeah, you guys can find me. Anybody new watching, tuning in, you can book a session at galactictarot.com. Or if you're looking for the energy jewelry, as Stephanie said earlier, it's www.crystalcurrent.com, like electrical current.
Crystalcurrent.com. And then watch for on Awaken Angels, the event for the Halloween here in LA with the crystal, ancient crystal mystery skull. This thing is amazing. Lucy, I know, Alex, you've worked with her. That'll be a whole other thing too, but so much to talk about, so much to cover always. So you can find that on Awaken Angels. Definitely RSVP soon. It will sell out. There's only 40. I think there's only less than 40 seats available left. So love you guys. Love everybody for joining. Hi Heather. Hi everybody. So Barbara, everybody, we saw you. It's like Romper Room for those of you who know what that is. But but we'll see you guys later. And thanks again, Alex. We'll talk soon.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Namaste.
See you soon.
Bye, sweetheart. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Love you guys. And again, StephanieLodge.com, Awaken Angels on Facebook, Stephanie Lodge on Facebook. And if anything comes up for you this week, definitely feel free to PM us and we will do what we can to support. You know, at the end of the day, when these things are spoken about, you know, it can activate and bring up stuff and trigger things, right? It can bring things into the system that will maybe feel uncomfortable. I'll be honest, you know, when we activate light, it doesn't always feel comfortable. So that's why I said, just bring in that light, downpour it, and do what you can to accept who and what you are as a beautiful being. Because we know that more and more of us are rising into consciousness. And as we rise, we shift. We shift massively. We shift not only our personal field, but the cities that we live in. Of course, our families can trigger us because they installed the buttons, right? So just know that you're going to be letting go of a lot of things in order to elevate and go into that next level of consciousness. And it's totally normal, totally cool. And this is part of what we do to Awaken Angels. We just assist. So love you all. Thank you so much. I'll put some links, and this will be also on the Sovereign Light Stream channel on YouTube if you want to go back and reference it at any time. And can't find it in Facebook because I know that can be challenging. So it will be on Sovereign Light Stream channel on YouTube. Feel free to follow us there, and we'll get back to you with some more episodes. Lots of love. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your week, and enjoy.